Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Quentin Tarantino's 9th feature film and the 4th in a row not set in modern times. If you're counting The Hateful Eight, Django Unchained, and Inglourious Basterds are the previous 3 period films. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is set 50 years ago in the Hollywood of 1969, and we know that it involves the murder of Sharon Tate, Jay Sebring, Wojciech Frykowski, and Abigail Folger by members of Charles Manson's cult The Family. We also know that the movie's main story is built around alcoholic actor Rick Dalton, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and Brad Pitt as his stuntman friend Cliff Booth. The first reviews are in, and they are incredibly overwhelmingly positive. Okay, so let's look at this. Here are 20 cultural references that I spotted in the last trailer for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is an old school 1960s version of the studio's logo. The modern version has a more sepia brown background. This is a reference to William Friedkin's 1968 musical comedy film, The Night They Raided Minsky, starring Jason Robards, Britt Ekland, and Elliot Gould. The movie set around a fictionalized events at Minsky's Burlesque Theatre in New York City in the 1930s. As Tarantino does in his movies, Friedkin used a lot of old-time actors for Minsky's, including Burt Lahr and the voice of Rudy Valley. This movie marquee is a deep cut by Tarantino. Babette and The Turn On were 1968 softcore porn movies, so clearly the cinema here is an adult theatre. Hardcore movies didn't come out until about a year or so after this movie is set. Next to the Pussycat Cinema is Larry Edmunds Cinema and Theatre Bookshop, which is a real business in Hollywood Boulevard in 2019. Here are some hippies, a peace symbol mandala made from a naked woman, and another movie poster for The Night They Raided Minsky's. Here we have Mike Moe playing Bruce Lee. Lee did have a connection to Sharon Tate. He was the fight coordinator on The Wrecking Crew, the 4th of Dean Martin's Matt Helm spy movies, which were made for Columbia Pictures between 1966 and 1969. The Wrecking Crew also starred Sharon Tate. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is set 2 years after Bruce Lee played Kato in the Green Hornet TV series with Van Williams, and it's a year after he played a nice role as a hitman in the James Garner movie Marlowe. Here we see DiCaprio's Rick Dalton on a real-life TV series from the 1960s Hullabaloo, which came out between 1965 and 1966. It was a musical variety show with a different host each week. Possibly Rick Dalton was a guest host on an episode of Hullabaloo. Here's Australian actor Damon Harriman as Charles Manson. From the look of his dilated pupils, Charlie is tripping in this scene. This one's clearly Rick Dalton working in Italian exploitation cinema, and it may be a callback to the original version of Inglourious Basterds, a World War II movie directed by Enzo G. Castellari in 1968. This is deep Inception Tarantino, where he emulates a movie he remade in a third totally different movie. Here we've got Margot Robbie playing Sharon Tate, posing beside a movie poster for The Wrecking Crew. Here's Cliff at the Capitol Records building, an iconic LA landmark, which has appeared in a lot of films from Earthquake to The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Quentin Tarantino has a thing for women's feet. It's become a trademark, like Hitchcock cameos in Hitchcock movies, or doves in a John Woo action flick. Don't judge, everybody has their kinks. Musso and Frank Grill. Musso and Frank Grill has been a Los Angeles eating institution for a century. Charlie Chaplin, Orson Welles, Harry and Jack Warner, Rudolph Valentino, Humphrey Bogart and Marilyn Monroe all hung out there. It's also one of Brad Pitt's favourite restaurants. I love this cinema. Old school cinemas are a place I feel comfortable in. I would watch movies all day in a cinema like this. Here again is Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate with a lobby card for The Wrecking Crew. Lobby cards were a part of cinema promotion from the silent film days to around the end of the last century. I have a small collection of them, but they're starting to get more expensive to acquire these days. They were placed outside cinemas so you could see little photographs of different scenes in the movie to decide whether you wanted to go in and see the film. I love them. Here's Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate watching the real Sharon Tate in a scene with Dean Martin from The Wrecking Crew. George Spahn, played in the movie by Bruce Dern, was an 80-year-old blind guy who had a ramshackle movie ranch on the edge of Los Angeles County, which had been a location for some movies, The Outlaw with Jane Russell, The Creeping Terror, and it was a location for a bunch of episodes of the TV series Bonanza. The Manson family moved in and made Spahn Ranch their base. It was from the Spahn Ranch that Charles Manson set his followers to Cielo Drive in Los Angeles on the night of August 8, 1969. Spahn Ranch is now a part of Santa Susana Pass State Historical Park. Here's Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate being trained for a fight scene in The Wrecking Crew by Mike Moe's Bruce Lee. She's dressed in the same costume Tate wore in the film. This is Rick Dalton in a movie in a pickup truck with a shotgun. This movie has a vibe like Charles Bronson's 1974 film Mr. Majestic, where there's a not entirely dissimilar scene. This is a movie poster for a Rick Dalton movie. The art looks like it might be from Thailand. The production design on this movie, particularly when it comes to set design, is brilliant. We get a scene of Sharon Tate and her husband Roman Polanski walking through an airport. A quick Google image search will give you a lot of paparazzi shots of the real Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski at London Airport. And as in this shot, Sharon Tate's wearing a fur coat. Rick Dalton guest stars in a Western TV series called Lancer, which was a real show between 1968 and 1970. Two of the stars, James Stacey and Wayne Maunder, are played in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Timothy Olyphant and Luke Perry in his last film role before his recent death. The Lancer reference is another Tarantino deep cut. So there are the 20 pop cultural references in just the trailer for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. As a well-known Tarantino fan, I'm looking forward to this movie a lot. As always, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe and comment, and let me know what your favourite Tarantino joints are. I'll be back soon with some more movie-related goodness.